There are certain airlines that I've been looking to try for a very long time, and today I'm ticking one of them off my bucket list. I'm here in Dubai and I'm flying to Bahrain, but I'm actually going to be taking a trip with Cathay Pacific. What I make of the Hong Kong based airline? Let's find out. Welcome to Blake Edgington Airborne. Let's get going.
Dubai International is the busiest airport in the world for international flights, and with Emirates dominating Terminal 3, most other airlines, including Cathay Pacific, operate from Terminal 1. The check-in area was surprisingly quiet for my early morning flight, and with next to no queue at security, I was soon on my way to Concourse D to find my aircraft. With the capacity to accommodate up to 18 million passengers per year, it's little surprise that Concourse D has a range of shops for you to spend your remaining dirham before departure. The usual fragrances, cosmetics and electronics are of course on offer, as well as items in keeping with the region such as camel milk chocolate, which I have tried and it's quite interesting. For those of you looking for more familiar food, then there is of course a great choice of restaurants in the terminal which cater to a wide range of tastes.
So that's my first visit to Terminal 1 here in Dubai, and much like Terminal 3, it's quite an efficient space. It's certainly very bright and there's plenty to do before departure, a great selection of restaurants, and the duty-free shopping is superb. So if you're travelling through here, I'm sure you'll have a great time. But my time here in Dubai is up. Let's head on board a flight to Bahrain.
For those of you wondering why on earth a Hong Kong based airline flies between two Middle Eastern countries, well, this is what is known as a fifth freedom flight, which allows the airline to operate to places that may not be viable for a route of its own. This Airbus A330 is part of Cathay Pacific's passenger fleet of 132 widebody aircraft, which also includes the Airbus A350 and Boeing 777. The airline is well known for the quality of its onboard product and its service, and I'll show you what to expect on board in a moment. But first, how much does this trip cost? There's just one departure time from Dubai to Bahrain with Cathay Pacific, which is priced at 500 dirham or around £105. This is based on the lowest Save fare class, which does not include free seat selection, but does come with a very generous 30kg luggage allowance. And believe it or not, this fare with a 5-star rated airline is usually one of the cheapest available on this route. So what's it like on board Cathay Pacific? Well, if like me you travel on the Airbus A330, economy class is laid out in a 242 configuration, and this particular aircraft seats up to 262 passengers with business class at the front. As you can see, this was a very quiet flight, so hand luggage storage was not an issue, and space for bags is provided in the overhead lockers, both in the centre and sides of the cabin. Reading lights can be found in the overhead panel, but as was the case on my KLM 777 flight, Cathay Pacific have chosen not to install individual air vents, which is something that personally I find disappointing, particularly considering the long routes that this aircraft can operate. On those long-haul flights you will of course need to visit the toilets at some point, and while maybe not the largest I've ever seen, they were kept in good condition. Given the short duration of this flight, Cathay Pacific don't offer the full economy class meal service that you can expect when flying long haul, an example of which is on screen now. Instead, the crew pass through the cabin with trays of drinks, and I opted for an orange juice. Now it's not much, but on a 1-hour flight I'm certainly not going to complain, especially when it's free.
So we're halfway to Bahrain, which means it's that time to take a look at the seat that you could expect to find if you travel with Cathay Pacific on the A330.
As I mentioned earlier, the lowest economy fare with Cathay Pacific does not include seat selection, but you are able to pay for preferred seats during booking, with prices starting from 40 dirham on this route. Because of how empty this flight was, the crew were very happy for me to move around the cabin as much as I liked, and this meant that I was able to check out the bulkhead seats. These offer additional space to stretch out. But what are the majority of seats like in economy? Well, as always, we'll start at the top of the seat, which is where you have the entertainment system. I'll show you this shortly, but it's worth pointing out now that USB power is available, and also on the right hand side is a coat hook if required. Underneath the screen is a great feature. It's a little storage area that can be used for smaller items, and below this is where you'll find a drinks holder. The drinks holder is not something you'll see on all airlines, but I think it's a great feature, meaning you don't always have to use the tray table. Speaking of which, the tray table can be used in two ways. It can be left in half for another drinks location, or fully opened up for the meal service, and there's also some adjustment if you need it. Now we'll take a look at the main storage, and your seat pocket has small pouches on the front which are perfect for a mobile phone, and your larger items can be kept in the main seat pocket, which also has the in-flight magazine and safety card. Finally, the legroom, and as you can see, I had a good amount of space with the seat pitch that should provide enough comfort for most passengers on board. As well as USB power, there are universal outlets found under the seat, which also features an adjustable headrest and was well padded. To further enhance comfort on board, pillows and blankets are provided, and overall I think that the Cathay Pacific economy seat is very nice, but I will admit that the business class seat did look very inviting. Okay, that's enough of admiring business class, it's time for the in-flight entertainment. But before I show you what Cathay Pacific has to offer, let me remind you that you can see images from all of my flights, including this one, as they happen. And by following me on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, you can keep up to date with the latest channel news. Of course, don't forget to subscribe right here on YouTube to catch all of my future videos too. Back to Cathay Pacific though, and let's take a look at Studio CX, and getting right to the point, this is a great entertainment system. The layout is very user friendly and the screen was responsive, meaning that accessing the content was very simple. There's a selection of programming which is well organised and includes the latest Hollywood blockbusters as well as Chinese and Asian cinema releases. Major TV shows offer multiple episodes and there are numerous music choices from around the world. You can even access information on the features of the economy seat, although I managed to figure out how to recline without the instructions. As well as having their own entertainment, kids can even change the theme of the screen, which is a really nice touch, and big kids like me of course have plenty of fun with the route map. But as good as Studio CX is, nothing can quite beat the view outside.
So we've just heard from the flight deck, we'll be on the ground in Bahrain soon. Make sure to stick around till the end of the video for my final thoughts on today's flight, but for now, enjoy the landing. So welcome to Bahrain after that flight with Cathay Pacific. This of course is where I'll share with you my final thoughts on today's trip. Starting off at Dubai International Airport. This was my first time travelling through Terminal 1 in Dubai and it was very impressive. I'm a big fan of Dubai International Airport. It's really modern, really clean, everything works very well, so I wouldn't hesitate to travel through there again. And then we come to the flight itself. Now it's a little bit tricky to go into too much detail about this flight because I didn't experience the full Cathay Pacific long haul service, but what I did see today was very, very good indeed. Starting off with the seat. Now the seat had some really nice touches. I particularly liked some of the features such as a little storage area for a phone that I could use during flight, and of course places to keep your drink secure, and at seat power was great. The legroom wasn't too bad either, but there is a bit of a criticism I have to make, and that's the recline. I tried it on the flight, I didn't show it in the video, but when you do recline the seat, the base of the seat slides forward, and this really does impact your legroom. My seat then pushed my knees right into the seat in front, so that's something to consider. On a long haul flight, I'd say with the seats reclined, it could be quite uncomfortable. Service on today's flight was complimentary. Given the short duration of the flight, it was just a glass of juice handed out by the crew, and that was a really nice little touch. And speaking of the crew, they were some of the best I've ever experienced on a flight. I thought initially they were a little bit unsure about the GoPro, but in actual terms, what I actually did is they were just interested to learn. I had a couple of members of the crew pass through the cabin just to see what I was up to and ask me questions, including the senior cabin crew member who spent about 5 or 10 minutes chatting to me at the end of the flight. They were fantastic, and it wasn't just because I was filming, they were very pleasant to all the passengers, so a real credit to Cathay Pacific, the crew that I flew with today. And one last thing I'd like to mention is the entertainment system. I had a quick look at it on this flight and I have to say it was really, really impressive. A really nice interface and a surprisingly good selection of entertainment as well. So I personally wouldn't hesitate to fly Cathay Pacific again in future. I'll certainly look to give them a try on a longer flight when I get the chance. If you've flown with Cathay Pacific, do let me know in the comments section your experiences. I'll be really interested to read them. And if you've enjoyed this video, please do hit that thumbs up button. Of course, if you're new around here, do subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you never miss a future flight review. And most of all, take care.